this is the tech and the art of the antivirus show Dose 1. And after 4 or 5 months, I really don't know how long it actually took to do this, with what little equipment there is. This is the most important image. The image has elements of Newport, it has elements of the Berlin Wall collapsing, it has elements of the Antichrist symbol in there, which is the cross in the ground in a graveyard that has filled up, that the graveyard has filled up so much that it broke down the walls. Alright? And then there is the iron wrought fence, which you see all over in Newport. And also you have the girls sign, which of course means strippers, but I just want to point out, even the word girls isn't complete. So the whole point with the sign is there's no such thing as a woman, there's only girls, and you're going to be murdered, you're going to be a victim forever, or you're going to be an all-consuming monster. And that is eugenics. That is a eugenics factor, and it is constantly reinforced through sexual education plans which require or generate child-on-child molestations. And that's important because when businesses are sex trafficking, they need that to cloak themselves. And by cloaking themselves, to use the cloak, they always say woman's choice, in this case, child's choice, you see. So through narcissism, which is this one ability of this one sexual ability taken to and perverted to such a huge exponential factor that there is no reality to it. And the only reality that there is to it is just violence and the media. And that's just, it's absolutely, it's heartbreaking, but it's understandable why the media is constantly rewarded for that, and why businesses are constantly rewarded for that. And to keep that reward system going, there is what I like to call a rape militia, which makes sure there's a rape militia which keeps tracks of prostitutes or people to become prostitutes. This is eugenics, and there are techniques of creating prostitutes, and this is what businesses like, this is what corporations enjoy, and this is how business is done in America, whether you like it or not. And there is a rape militia, and if you just study or even try, and if you work real hard, you can get a member of that rape militia. You can get a DNA sample sent to your home. If you try hard, you can do it. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can't, because you would said so-and-so is not this person, so-and-so is not this person, so-and-so is not this person, this type of person. In fact, they are, and if you work hard on it, it can take a year and a half, but sooner or later, if you work hard, you can get a member or several members of a rape militia's DNA sent to your door if you try. If you gotta try, though. The original warnings were like this, just to make sure it gets somebody's attention. At the same time, it gets someone's attention, and if it goes on long enough, then that person will just change the channel, which is because I don't want those people anyway. I want people in which their attention span lasts more than 3 seconds. Those are the type of people that will go on to build or rebuild America, are those people whose attention span can exceed that of 3 seconds. Anyway, this symbolizes the telecommunications industry declaring itself God. The pictures I got from the CIA Factbook website, yay. And in the end, you see the Antichrist on top with Medusa, in which all information flows through, and if you would stare at her, you would turn to stone. And the image of the Antichrist comes on out with his crowns composed of the different maps of the world. Simple. To add to that, if you turn to stone, that's the same thing as being hypnotized. This is a servant to the Antichrist. It's marine-like. It takes a package to a distribution center where you see all these religious symbols, including atheism. And this servant opens up the present, takes out its instructions, and takes out a knife, and it then goes out and hunts someone else down at the distribution center. A good way to create a time machine is through trauma or through sports, which is trauma, defeat, agony, and victory all in one. And it was this the sports probably became a tool of the Antichrist probably around the time we started opening up trade with China. In a war in which you're not allowed to win, or in a war in which you're not allowed to retreat from, you have all these pseudo peace programs for women, and one of those pseudo peace programs is home ec. Paint your house this, get a house that, do your house this way. That there's a time for that, but there was never a time for this during the last 4 years. Don't you know that you are stupid? Don't you know that you are smart? Don't you know that you're too fat? Don't you know that you're too thin? These are all immediate reward systems for covering no territory whatsoever. You might be able to cut yourself and bleed, or put a band-aid on and be a better person, but in the reality, you're going nowhere. You know, it's personal improvement while your nation goes to rot. If you were to go to a magazine rack and pick out a magazine about telecommunications, you will find many German addresses inside that magazine. And Wired also had an article recently about this German-Russian plan to take over the economy of Europe and then onto the United States. Each nation is supposed to be a nation and separate to prevent the same chain on a French man, on a German man, and maybe even on myself, to keep us from having the same chain. Each individual must support their nation and bring up their nation instead of having outsiders come on in and dictate their own personal totalitarian eugenics plan on everybody. Africa would be destroyed if America lost Alaska. So I was trying to bring up the point that all those Blackwater rapes, well, all the women were pre-screened, and so all the rapes were premeditated, and to do that type of premeditation, you would have to know a certain amount of records on those women. And I'm saying, hey, you had their medical records too, and you had your school records. And that's the whole point. Not only you had enough information to know that that woman was not an agent, so all those rapes were premeditated by a militia. That should make you think.